大家好. Hi everyone. Today I am going to be showing you how to make some delicious pork and chive dumplings. So I've got my ingredients here, which includes ground pork, chives, and dumpling wrappers, an egg, and then my seasonings, which is vegetable oil that I've actually pre-cooked and let cool for a deeper flavor, sesame oil, soy sauce, and salt. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually chop up my ground pork, and I know that seems strange because the pork is already ground, but it's still like in really big clumps, and I want it to be like in small bite-sized pieces before I put it into my dumplings. So I'm going to finely chop my ground pork, and then once it's nice and chopped up, then I can go ahead and start mixing that into the bowl with the rest of my ingredients. Now it's time to chop the chives, so I'm going to cut off the ends of these, and then just like the ground pork, we want it to be in bite-sized pieces as well. So we're going to separate this and then chop them into fine pieces. This is probably one of the most time-consuming parts of making these dumplings. It's just because I like to have my chives in nice small pieces, just like the ground pork, because there's not that much filling in the dumpling anyway, so when you eat it, you don't want to get like one giant bite of chives in your mouth. After chopping and washing the chives, it's time to add the next ingredient, which is vegetable oil. We're going to mix that right into the meat. And like I said earlier, this vegetable oil was pre-cooked, but we have to let it cool because if not, then it'll cook the meat when we add it in. So I cooked the vegetable oil. It's now cooled. We're going to add that into the meat. Time to add the rest of the ingredients. So we're going to add our egg in next, and we're going to mix that in really well as well. Now it's time to add in our chopped chives, and once again we're going to mix really well. After we have these main ingredients mixed really well, it's time to add in our seasoning. So we're going to add our soy sauce and our sesame oil, and then a dash of salt to taste, and you don't really need to add too much. And then once again, we're going to mix really, really well. Now it's time to wrap our dumplings. So you'll see that I actually have a dumpling wrapper in my hand, and I've got a little bamboo mat that I'm going to put my dumplings on, as well as a bowl of water that you can use to wet your fingers to keep the dumplings closed. So after you put your filling in, I like to just pinch mine right at the top to close them together. And then I do two little, I guess like pinches to both sides of them. It's not the fanciest looking dumplings. I've definitely seen a lot fancier, but I'm just making these for home. And this is kind of my favorite method of doing them. I don't like to just fold them over because I don't like the way they look when they're just folded over, but you can do that. But I think these are cute like this. They kind of look like little gold nuggets, except for like dumpling, right? And then I just like sit them flat right there and make a few of these, and then we'll be ready to cook. Okay, here we are with a batch of finished wrapped dumplings. Time to cook. There's actually a lot of different ways that you can make your jiaozi. If you make them in the steamer, they're called zhenjiao. You can also pan fry them, in which case they're zhenjiao. And then if you put them in soup or boiling water to cook them, then they're called suijiao because they're being cooked in water. I like to steam my dumplings, so we've got them here in the steamer. I'm going to make zhenjiao, and my steamer already had some hot water in it that was boiling, so I've gone ahead and put my dumplings in, and we're going to put the lid on them and let these cook for about 10 minutes. While dumplings cook, it's time to make sauce. So I've got some soy sauce here, as well as some rice vinegar. And you can buy lots of different types. Like I have this other one that's just plain rice vinegar, but I like to use this one that's sweet and tangy flavor. And then of course we have to have our sesame oil, which adds like flavor and aromatics to it. I don't recommend that you substitute. You can get sesame oil from an Asian grocery store. Now I actually like my sauce a little bit spicy, so I'm gonna substitute my sesame oil with sesame chili oil, which gives it spice and flavor. And then garlic that you're going to mince, but I don't want to mince garlic, so I'm actually just going to swap that out for some garlic powder, which is like an easy shortcut. And then toasted sesame seeds, which you can just buy already toasted, and some sugar, which yes, I do keep sugar packets. So we're going to mix everything together into the type of jar that you use for jam. So I've got my sugar in there, and I added some hot water to kind of dissolve the sugar. I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients: soy sauce, my rice vinegar, which you can just add a splash of, or a little splash more. And then your sesame oil, or for me, my sesame chili oil. You don't need too much of that because you don't want to be too oily. And then you're going to add the garlic powder, and finally your sesame seeds. And the reason I like to make it in a jar is because then I just put everything together, I screw the lid on top like that, and then I give it a good shake, and ta-da, now we have homemade dumpling sauce. Dumplings are finished steaming. Now you just plate and enjoy.